Hello and welcome to this latest episode of a discussion where I'm joined by Anton to discuss actually 2 weeks worth of Burton Albion results, and it's been a pretty good time for us. Unfortunately, due to my technical faults, I wasn't able to record last week, but we're here today and we're going to touch on those results from before, but also the recent ones and going into the end of the season now, which has come about very quickly. Anton, how are you this evening?
Good, mate. Thanks yourself.
Yeah, doing well as always. And like I said, we've got a lot of games to talk about. But first of all, I mean, if you take our minds back a few weeks ago, we got two incredible wins. I think we said we'd take two draws from the Portsmouth and Doncaster games, and we went and beat both teams. It was two very Burton Albion performances under Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. Overall, two results we didn't expect to pay off, and 2 points that have 6 points that have really helped us to, move into a really, really strong position.
Yeah, definitely. The Portsmouth game, if my memory serves me correct, as I'm getting old, great performance against one of the so-called bigger clubs. Always tend to always get results there, but always tend to put in a good performance there. I remember also a few years back when we conceded really late on. I think Jake Buxton, unfortunately, bless him, gave away a penalty, I think, right near towards the end. But I thought it was fully deserved win against Portsmouth. Two absolutely fantastic goals. Mike Fondop's effort on a scramble around the box. I think there was 4 stabs at it before a red kick sitting on his bottom. So great finish from that. And then Joe Powell couldn't hit the ball any sweeter, I think, if you tried. And, two lads that probably don't start every week and had limited chances, but took the chances, and not only obviously in the game, but obviously to score really well. And yeah, it was a thoroughly deserved 3 points against Portsmouth.
Yeah, and it was, like you said, just a really good overall performance. Unfortunately, we kind of conceded that scrappy late goal, which almost kind of, I think we deserved the clean sheet, and we didn't unfortunately get that in the end, but we did see the game out as well. And like you said, two great goals. I think that Joe Powell goal I'm going to take some credit for, because I told him that it was worth having a crack when he lined it up some 40 yards out. And we've got to credit the great assist from Sean Clare as well. A wonderful pass to Joe Powell, gives him the opportunity to strike it first time. But I mean, it was an incredible strike. Watching that angle from behind the ball, and he hits it, and it was incredible strike from him.
Yeah, obviously all credit to Sean Clare for the assist. Absolutely great setup. Couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah, a wonderful piece of passing play there. But no, it was we won the free kick. I think it was Mike Fondop who won the free kick. And when you're in that position, it's one of those positions where sometimes teams struggle to create a little bit, very central, deep. It's not really, it's too far out to shoot and kind of too central to cross. But we made a decision, and since then, Joe Powell's cracked one off against Doncaster, I think Plymouth as well, from similar positions, and it's obviously he's obviously got the technique down. 2 shots on target there. Unfortunately, we didn't get another set of wonder goals from that, but he's clearly got it in his locker.
Yeah, just obviously from Fondop, I think you've seen it in the last couple of games as well. Obviously, that first game against Charlton when he scored on his debut, but probably looked a little bit rough around the edges and needs kind of sculpturing a little bit into that role. But he's got better and better every time he's played. Came on last night, and the bits obviously you look back on, you can see he's learning. He held the ball up well. He's now learning when to release it and bring others into play, learning when to just hold it and wait, learning when to release it at the right times. And he's saying he scored some good crucial goals for us as well. So, we have a diamond in the rough, and I say rough around the edges, but could be a good find. And I won't be disappointed if he's one that Jimmy offers a longer contract to, obviously at the end of the season. Joe Powell's come in and out of the side. But again, I think, we talked about it before. He off the ball, he needed to do more, and probably was one of the reasons why Jimmy wasn't picking him to start with. But I think he's another one that's learning this new role, and he's certainly getting to know how Jimmy wants him to play, and he's benefiting from it. He may not be starting every week, but when he's coming on, he's making a difference as well. But there's still a lot to learn from him. He's still a young lad. But no, we're certainly starting to create these players that we already had into better players, which is only going to build us for the future.
And I think another positive from that, and you kind of started to allude to it there, is that I think now we've got more than 11 players who could start for us, which I think in the past under maybe Nigel Clough, when, the budget was really tight, the squad depth was, we had some quality players, but on the bench, there was times where I think, me personally, I definitely looked to the bench and have kind of gone, is there anyone there who I'm going to want to bring on to change the game? And now we've got a lot of them there. As you said, Mike and Joe Powell maybe don't start for us every week, but they've clearly got the quality there, both of them. And there's a few other players there as well. Ryan Broom, who I'm sure we'll get onto in a bit, scoring against Plymouth in a really important goal for us. We've got a lot of good squad depth now.
Yeah, is Mike fond up your mate now? You're calling him Mike?
Well, maybe. There's only one way to find out, I think. I'd certainly hope so.
Yeah, squad depth, I've talked about it before, where I was a bit disappointed early doors with the guys that come off the bench weren't really making a show of themselves and making their way into the plans. But certainly now we've not even talked about Terry Taylor yet, but I think he's going to be an absolutely fantastic addition to our squad. Obviously now with Manson being injured last night, I think he's going to get his chance and probably a bit of a run in the team. But I think he's so calm on the ball. He knows when to make the simple passes. He knows when to try and make that killer ball pass. I think he's got so much potential, and I think he's a real good find. Hopefully, a good steal that not only will you develop him as a great player for Burton Albion, but maybe develop him so that we make a bit of money on him as well, where he furthers his career. But Danny Rowe's got himself back fit again, putting some really good performances, making a difference. Obviously, getting a couple of starts as well. We've talked about Joe Powell, obviously being on the bench. Johnny Smith, obviously not even been used the last couple of games, obviously being injured. So we're not actually heavily relying on him. And then you've still got players that were part of the plans earlier in the season still at the club and not even making the bench, as well as Josh Parker. Obviously, he just disappeared again. But, you've got Colin Daniel, Ben Fox, Kieran Gilgallen, or Gilligan, however you want to say it. There's plenty of players there that are still not even getting a look in. So these players are coming in and starting to take their chances. I still would love to see Kieran O'Hara given a chance, but the rest of the guys have come in, they're taking the chances well, and they're certainly showing that they're keen to come off the bench and make a real impact when the chance comes.
Yeah, and it seems like an apt time to move on to the Doncaster 3-0 win, where I would strongly consider that Terry Taylor came off the bench and made a difference. He came on off the bench at half-time. I think Jimmy said it was a tactical change in his post-match interview, and after a pretty calm first half, neither side really creating too much, we went on and scored 3 really good goals. The opener, again, from Terry Taylor, a quick throw-in, which is something that I think we all love to see in football, a counter-attack, and eventually I think it was Lucas Akins who slammed home. But that goal just kind of summarised what this Burton team has been about, I think, if you will. We've got the corner away. Terry Taylor's done brilliantly to win the throw-in on the halfway line. Quick throw, and Brian Edwards has come bombing up from probably deep inside our own box, and then he's got options when he finally gets room to cross, and Lucas Akins out with the finishing touch back to front in a very short amount of time. Yeah,
you talk about the tactical switch. Michael Manson's come in. I know he didn't start the first few games he was here, but he's obviously built his fitness up, and he's been a rock in that, sitting in front of the back four. He's done really, really well. What you say about a tactical switch, bringing Terry Taylor in, probably a little bit better on the ball, different kind of player. And I think, we could recycle possession through him. And as I said a minute ago, he knows when to put his front of it and slow it down. He knows when to make that simple pass and go and find some more space, or when to try that killer ball. That switch at half-time at Doncaster made a massive difference. I think, as you say, the way we played tactically more than anything. And I think once we're safe, which I think we're just about are now, not mathematically, but just about there, I'd like to see us try and play a bit more football like we did in the second half against Doncaster, with a bit more freedom, so we haven't got to be quite as structured and restricted of teams. We can be a bit more fluid ourselves and worry about what we're doing, rather than obviously trying to counter-attack opposition. So I think going forward, we'll see more and more of him, and I think he'll be crucial in the middle of midfield, sitting in front of that back four, protecting, but also providing us with the spearhead of going forward as well.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we've talked about Terry Taylor a few times now, and every time we just have to kind of bring up he's so composed, looks so calm on the ball, just, does the simple stuff very well, but also looks like he's got, I think Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank said that he's got a great football brain, which is a brilliant thing to have in a midfielder. And at such a young age, obviously there's room to develop. Hopefully he goes on to be a very important player for us.
Yeah, definitely. Jimmy and Dino bought him in and paid a nominal fee as reported, and obviously on a 2.5-year contract. So obviously high hopes. Obviously in this climate, bringing in a player on a permanent deal for that length of time, there's a bit of risk in there, but obviously one that they thought was worth taking. And on the early signs, I think he's going to be a very good, very good signing for Burton Albion going forward. And hopefully, for him, he plays well to propel Burton Albion high up into League One and beyond, but also, a step in the right direction for him to further his career, maybe in the Championship or beyond in the Premier League if he continues.
Yeah, and obviously carrying on with this Doncaster game, the I think it was the second goal we scored was Hayden Carter again, who somehow seems to find his way on the score sheet, or getting an assist for himself despite playing so deep. I mean, I don't think I give him enough credit. He's been an incredible player for us, an incredible loan signing. I think, I remember saying in January when we kind of made a few loan signings that we had a history of success in the January loan market, and looks like Jimmy and Dino have pulled it off again. He's been a kind of really important to our defence, and obviously forming the partnership mostly with Michael Boswick, a few times with Michael Mansion and John Joe O'Toole earlier on. He's been really important for us, and obviously you've got Tom Hamer as well, who's been versatile. He scored as well in that game, a pretty impressive finish for a right back, I must say. But no, two defenders on the score sheet, but also two defenders who have been pivotal to us turning this around.
Yeah, definitely. To be part of a successful team, you need players that all over the pitch that will score goals. You look at all the successful teams that obviously win things, or obviously like us have performed a minor miracle and got themselves out of trouble. You need goals from set pieces, and from that, obviously, your defenders score, your midfielders score. So that's really crucial. If you can get goals from all over the pitch, and every player can pick up 2, 3, 4, 5 a season, it makes a massive, massive difference. But you talk about Hayden Carter, and it sounds horrible now, but it was almost a blessing in disguise, I think, that Sam Hughes got injured. I think everyone was raving about him at the start of the season, how he was probably the one shining light in the team, that the failing team almost, the way he was playing and still being positive and playing that centre-half role for such a young lad. When getting injured, obviously created that chance for Hayden Carter to come in, and to me, it's like pressing an upgrade button. He's been absolutely fantastic. He looks so mature for his years. Whoever he's played in defence with, as you said, Boswick, O'Toole, Brayford, I think you missed out. He's looked calm and reassuring. Looks to know what he's doing, and brilliant. And Blackburn have got a real gem there. Not sure what his contract status, if he's out of contract end of the season, but again, I wouldn't be against us trying to nip him with a cheeky bid if he isn't, because I think he's another one that's got a good career ahead of him. I think he might need to step down again to League One to kind of make a career for himself. I don't know if he'll get in at Blackburn, but they do give youngsters a chance. But I certainly like to see him again in the Burton Albion shirt if it's possible. Tom Hamer, I think we've talked about most weeks. I think he's not an out-and-out left back, but he's played there obviously when Josh Earl got suspended. Made himself an asset and undroppable, really. Not so much, let's say not so much, but mainly because of his armour with his long throw, which has obviously been really crucial and set up quite a few goals. But in actual fact, at left back, he's slotted in really, really well. And, it's a case of round pegs and square holes to fit everybody in. But, he deserves, for me, to be in that team as a left back. Obviously waiting for his chance for Johnny Brayford to obviously get injured or move on at some point, and obviously he'll come in. But another shrewd signing by Jimmy and Dino, another one I think on a longer term contract. Again, another good asset and a good addition to the squad. And testament to everybody. The scouting team, the recruitment team, and Jimmy and Dino, in kind of having faith in these players and bringing them in January to get us where we are now. I don't think anyone would have expected it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. So we've spoken about Mike Fondop. We've spoken about players making an impact off the bench, and
Is it not Mike now? You're going back to Mike Fondop.
Well, yeah? Interchangeable certainly. But no. So we've spoken about Mike Fondop. Like I said, we've spoken about these substitutes and the squad depth we have. We've spoken about a long throw, and now all three kind of seem to align against Plymouth. I think it was Tom Hamer who came forward with a big throw up to Mike Fondop, who wins the header, flicks it on to Kane Hemmings. He runs through, and then we get what I think was a really, really deserved point for us. I felt we were incredible in that first half. I think we really, really played expansive. We dominated the ball. It felt like we dominated the game. It felt like we dictated the tempo. We just didn't quite get that goal. And then unfortunately, Plymouth scored from one of their few forays with the ball over the top, which has been something that I think has been one of the few weaknesses. We just got caught a little bit high, and it's a good finish from their player. But no, we got the goal. We kept on going to the end. Eventually, it was Ryan Broom sliding in, and a really important point for us. I can't emphasize how I think that is. I mean, as we said, unfortunately, we couldn't confirm it mathematically against Lincoln, but that was a huge point, and now it's going to have to be a pretty big demise for us to go down as kind of almost those that we're up, but we're not. And but no, it was a really good overall performance, I think, and we're unfortunate not to get all 3 points.
Yeah, as I said, as time ticks on and we get towards that safe mode, I think we can play a little bit more football. I think we saw that game. Obviously, something in the water about playing Plymouth at home and scoring 90-plus minute goals. I think I remember a Matty Patterson goal probably 10 years ago now, where we scored late into injury time. But another testament again to show the character of the squad. Not many times we've been behind, going right up to the end by one goal, and we probably dominated the game. But the team kept going and going and going, and had belief that we could get back into it. Regarding the goal, we've said about the high lines that we're doing now. I think it's important. That's where the goalkeeper needs to kind of mop up and be off his line and be commanding. I'm not going to stick my neck out and say Ben Garrett should have done better or could have done better by commanding or talking or whatever. But, I still think that's the one area I think we can improve on. I can't knock him. He's come in and, from the situation he was probably in before Christmas, I don't think anyone saw he'd be kind of at number one at the minute. But I think if the team's to continue to improve, I think it's a position that we need to strengthen, or, Kieran O'Hara does need to come in and give it another chance, because I personally still don't think that Ben Garrett is the long-term answer. But, he's done the job for us, as everybody has done in the last 4 or 5 months. But I say, it's tested character from start to finish, and, we tried to play a different kind of brand of football, actually get the ball down and play a little bit more. It didn't quite go right, but we kept knocking at the door, we kept going, and we got a just reward right at the end to score that last-minute equaliser.
Yeah, I think it was nice to see Ryan Broom get on the score sheet. He's a player who we've mentioned a few times, just has kind of struggled to kick on a little bit. We know he's not played too much football in the first half of the season, and kind of came in, looked a little bit rusty, but no, good to see him coming off the bench, and great legs from him to kind of bomb forward the desire, and gets a goal that, like I said, is huge for us when you consider the big picture. But good to see him get a goal, and is looking to kind of push his way back into the first team now.
Yeah, another one is had to kind of wait for an opportunity, I think. I think the first few games, obviously, you could see that it was a bit rusty for not playing for so long. Still not sure where his best position is. I think for me, he still reminds me of the Mark Duffy kind of player in that number 10 role. Obviously, at the minute, we're not quite playing in that formation. But, he's kept going. He got a goal. He was anticipated the fact that, Kane had a shot, and he does what any good forward or advancing midfield players should do, or strikers should do. Obviously, when anyone has a shot, is that just follow the ball in and wait for the goalkeeper to spill it, and get your rewards by taking the chance, and which he did. So he started to be switched on for that, and it wasn't easy. He still had a defender on his back that quite could have easily took a deflection or got in front of him or around him. So fair play to him. I'd like to see a bit more of him in the next few games, see what he possibly can do. I would be surprised if he ends up coming back for next season, but you just never know.
Yeah, I agree with you on that kind of Brian Broom point. Like I said, it's just been a little bit rusty, but good to see him get the score sheet. Maybe not one of the players that would see returning, though. Obviously, we've got great depth in that position as well, it should be said. We've got Danny Rowe, who put in a really good performance against Plymouth and has performed generally well from, since coming back. We've obviously got Joe Powell, who we've already mentioned, and I'm sure quite a lot of our players can kind of do a good job, whether it be on the wing or in that 10 role. It's one of the places where we've got really, really thick squad depth. So maybe, he can go back to Peterborough at the end of the season, and I'm sure he'll do a good job at pushing to get into their team, whether they're in the Championship or League One, because he's definitely got some quality there, and his energy is incredible. It's just, I think kind of almost using as a stepping stone, if you will, to kind of get his fitness back up, get back to performing to the levels that he can perform at, and then whether it be back here or somewhere else next season, to kind of kick on there for him personally.
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of players, isn't there, that have got to put themselves in the shop window, not only for maybe a career at Burton Albion, but a career at their parent clubs, or the ones that are out of contract if they're not rewarded at Burton Albion, to go elsewhere. So the last few games, even though that there might not be a lot to play for in terms of the team, individuals have got to earn themselves a contract. At the end of the day, it's their living, whether it be a contract with a pay rise or just a contract in general. They've got mouths to feed, and they need that weekly income. So the team and the players have got to get their heads down and continue to impress for their futures. And that's a good thing for Burton Albion, the position we're in. I don't think Jimmy will let anybody let up on that respect either. I think he's come out and said that he's brought Neil Holmby back to the club to look at some recruitment for him. They've got plans in place for a League Two or a League One club. So I think Jimmy will start to talk to Neil and formulate more plans in the next week or so. I'd have thought, once it becomes clearer that hopefully we're safe. But I don't think you can rule anybody out as such that will be at the club for longer. And there'll be another busy summer, I'm sure, to bring bodies in and get people out as well. But I think we're in a fantastic position. I think it's a fantastic story again for football that Burton Albion have created, the Great Escape. And you would hope that players have seen what we've done and what Jimmy's done and want to be part of it. And last time he was here for a League One season from the start, we were flying high, and I think we were top when he left, or second when he left. So he's more than capable of doing it. I know completely different circumstances, but you just never know in football, and that unthinkable may happen again. So yeah, hopefully the players will continue to fight and see what they can get out of it towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and like you said, it kind of is a positive for everyone, really. Everyone's a winner with that. The one dampener on this kind of run of matches that we had was this Lincoln home game that we had, which kind of continues the run of not ideal home form. It was, I think, over the two games that we've seen, I think Lincoln were one of the best teams that we've played this season. And in the first half, they absolutely annihilated us. I think we're lucky to go in at just 1-0. But then again, the second half, we came out, we just didn't quite have the final ball to break them down. They kind of played us at our own game, in that they kind of defended slightly deeper, defended a little bit narrower, and just kind of blocked us out, and we just couldn't quite get the final ball through. So positive signs in the second half, but the first half, Lincoln were well on top. And like I said, I think they were one of the best teams that I've seen us play this season.
Yeah, I think credit to Michael Appleton. I think he's obviously watched how we play and how we set up, and he gambled and took another player out into the equation when we were pressing high up, and made it impossible for us to pressurise everywhere. Probably the most calm and collective footballing side I've seen on the ball this season from any team. as close to probably the Sunderland side that we saw at the Parody a few weeks back. Really calm on the ball, moved it around well, were confident in what they were doing. We're happy to make dangerous or threatening balls in positions where we could have nicked it. But it's about risk and reward, and they played it really well. I think the way we play at the minute is big down till we keep it as tight for as long as possible, and then we go at them late on. So through fitness, etc. So obviously conceding that goal first and chasing the game is always going to be difficult for us. Certainly, at home as well, because teams are going to sit back, as you say, and go narrow and kind of do what we do to teams, shut them out. So, yeah, credit to Michael Appleton. I've never been his biggest fan really in the past. Obviously, he's had jobs at Oxford, Leicester, but he's got Lincoln firing on all cylinders, up in the mix. And I say probably one of the better sides, if not the best side I've seen this season, come to the Pirelli. But we can't be we can be disappointed, but we can't be too disheartened. It's another one game that we've lost, and you look at the last 19 games. I think if the league table was from then, I think we're flying high nice at the top. So, we've done what we needed to do. We were dead and buried at Christmas, and we're talking about safety with games to play. So, not too disheartening after one performance.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point there, and that actually it's kind of find it a little bit difficult to criticize anyone because, like you said, we've been absolutely incredible since Jimmy and Dino have came in. Disappointing as well to concede from a set piece. I think it was kind of I think if I remember correctly, Lincoln played a short corner, put the ball in, and one player just slips in, beats the offside trap. And, it's never one of the nicest goals to concede from a defensive point of view. But like you say, it's, if you expected a game between 17th, I think, or 18th and 4th in the league to be that close and that kind of well contested, then it's credit to us and shows the miles that we've really put in. That we're disappointed to be maybe not quite getting a point against the better teams in the league.
Yeah, it shows a lot how far we have come. I know that saying is used quite a lot in our history, certainly long term rather than short term. But we've come a long way in a very very short space of time in this season. But we've had good reward against Hull City, Peterborough. So we've beaten the top sides and we've shown we can beat anybody. So yeah, a little disappointing. Obviously, we didn't pick anything up at home. But as I said, good football inside in Lincoln, probably the best I've seen this season. And disappointed to win 1-0 against that kind of team. That shows, what this side and squad possibly is capable of, and the fact that everyone's kind of positive of what's going on at the minute, which is great to see. I was always sticking by Jake no matter what. I think you look back at it and it was the right decision. I don't want to talk bad about him, but I think the change was needed. On the face of it, I'm quite a stick by and loyal person, so I'd have stuck with him. But the change has done us good. I think I've been on record to say before Jimmy wouldn't have been my first choice. Just obviously more through his record of what he's done after he left Burton Albion, but he's proved me wrong, and I'll hold my hand up to say that he probably was the best choice, and we certainly couldn't have asked for anything better. In the position we're in now, anyone would have only ever dreamt of it. So fair play to everybody. I say, be disappointed to lose 1-0 at home to Lincoln after the last 9 months we've had. Just shows that how far we have come.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, really. I can't really add much more to that. That's, it's very, very, very true. But and I hate to be the pessimist among us, but we are still not mathematically safe as probable as it looks. But we can go and confirm it on Saturday. We play Wigan. We have to beat them. Well, it would be nice.
Don't lose. You say we're not mathematically safe. That that means we won't pick any more points up, and every team has to win probably every game. So it's unlikely. I think it's unlikely that we'll get dragged back in, unless something really drastic happens. So Yes, let's get it out of the way with. Let's get it mathematically safe. Let's relax then the last couple of games. Try and be a bit more expansive, a bit more entertaining, and see where we go. But we play Wigan, fighting for their lives, similar to us. Over a change of fortune. I think they've appointed Liam Richardson as a permanent manager today after being in caretaker charge. So again, there'll be players there that are playing for their futures. So no matter what the scores are or whatever, there'll be 22 players on that pitch, and obviously the ones on the bench as well that will want to be putting an eye-catching performance in for obviously teams circling, looking maybe for players next season or for the two managers to be part of their plans for next season. So lots to play for, and it would just be nice to get over that finishing line and kind of sigh of relief at long last and go again for next season.
Yeah, and like you said, Liam, Wigan recently, today appointed a kind of new permanent manager, and they've been had a bit of an upturn in form. I think they're one of the teams that were favourites to go down, certainly, and they've kind of pulled their way up a little bit, and they're going to be scrapping for every single point. So it's going to be nowhere near an easy game for us, but we've also had a very good record of beating those teams that are kind of near us. We drew against Plymouth, we beat Bristol Rovers, we beat Rochdale, we beat Swindon. So it's looking good for us. And again, I'm sure I've said it before, if you can beat the teams below you, then you'll be all right pretty much come the end of the season. So it's an opportunity for us as well to go and kind of make a bit of a statement. I think we've kind of, we've got to kind of put our mark down, get ourselves mathematically safe, and hopefully do it in style.
Yeah, I've said it before. I think you take the team on how they play. I would hope that this is how kind of Dino and Jimmy look at it, but you don't look at the form table regarding how your form is or how the opposition's form is. You don't look at the league table. That's things that have happened in the past. You just got to look at what's ahead of you for the next 90 minutes and the 11 players that are put out in front of you. So regardless of playing Lincoln or Wigan, as you say, or anyone that's at the bottom or towards the top, just go and concentrate and do our thing. They've worked on certain things of how teams play tactically, and I think that's important that we just take every game as it comes, minute by minute, and every play by every play. I'm not a big believer in form tables and league tables. The season's 46 games, not over 6 games or whatever. So you're not going to get my point change on that. I'm afraid I'm sticking by my guns.
But yeah, in this Wigan game, like you said, it's a chance to get mathematically safe, and also kind of, just kind of wraps up our season, I think, hopefully. But it's going to be a difficult one, certainly. And then, of course, we go into Fleetwood I think it's on Tuesday, which I think for Fleetwood, certainly, it's not really, it's kind of a nothing game. I think they're probably safe by now, and they're too far out of the playoffs to really have a shot. So it'll be but it's an opportunity. I'm sure a few players who maybe have got their contracts running out or here on loan will get an opportunity to kind of go for these last, what would be 3-4 games. And like you've kind of said earlier, to kind of make a name for themselves, earn themselves that contract or a transfer or whatever it may be. And yeah, it's hopefully by then we'll be safe when we play Fleetwood, and we'll be able to go out, play a bit more expansively, and hopefully kind of shows what this team's really capable of when we're in possession, because we've seen how hard we've worked out of possession, especially under Jimmy and Dino. But we know that we can play some good stuff when we get it on the floor and we pass it around, and that's an opportunity to do that, I think.
Yeah, in the nicest possible way. I would imagine a lot of fans will feel like this, but I actually can't wait for this season to finish now and be done with. Because once it's finished, we're safe. Touch wood. After obviously we were really disappointed from the off and in challenging conditions. But secondly, the sooner the season finishes, the sooner the new one comes in, and hopefully that means we're back in the ground, showing our appreciation to obviously the last couple of months, back in the ground, seeing friends and family again, but also then looking to see what Burn Albion can build again for the future. Miracles have happened several times in the 30 years I've supported Burton Albion. I'm sure there'll be plenty more. What do you say? There's still games to go. There's still things to be decided, whether it be from players individually or team kind of expectations and objectives. But let's get these games out of the way. Let's enjoy a few weeks off, and then let's get back in the ground with fans and hopefully support our Burton Albion again, which I think we've all missed, and something that's great to our hearts and dear to our hearts, where we've all missed it, and for one reason or another.
Yeah, and it'll be a momentous occasion, kind of, I think, around the country when, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's a couple thousand fans are allowed at the Carabao Cup on Saturday, Sunday, which will be, a huge step forward. And obviously then we've got the summer to kind of, the club will certainly be doing business. We'll probably, hopefully be relaxing somewhere or other, and then we're back into the season. But yeah, it'll be a momentous occasion, especially for the Football League, to kind of get those fans back in the doors, get, especially clubs like us, kind of, we don't maybe have the biggest following. We're not the most renowned club in the league, certainly, but we've got that kind of the passion is there, and it'll be an incredible day or 2 days or 3 days, however many it is, when, fans are finally back there to support their team, especially for us, because I mean, we owe it all to to Jimmy and Dino, I think, if you will. We've kind of dragged us up. I think, for this 6 months has been really impressive, and long may it continue.
Yeah, you say we're not blessed with many supporters, and it is disappointing for me for the size of a town we have. No matter what, I'll support Austin through and through. But, but now they've made so many miracles, and they keep saying, "Oh, how far can we go? We ain't gonna do it again, etc., etc." But we keep doing it, and that should be a reason for people to jump on board, because the unexpected always happens at Burton Albion. So I plead for people of Burton, or anyone that's watching this, has never been to a game of football before, or supports one of the big teams that have just broken out of the Big Six, and obviously showed the greed there. In actual fact, just turn up on a Saturday afternoon, pay 20 quid or whatever it is, come through the turnstile, and you'll actually be surprised that Burton Albion's a nice place to come. Everybody's friendly. Yeah, we haven't got the biggest crowd, so we haven't got the biggest budget, so we don't play the best football in the world. We can't afford those talented players, and we have to do it by other means. But Burton Albion achieve things in their own right. We've seen domestic semi-finals in cup competitions the last few years. We've been in the second highest league in the nation, in the Championship. We've stayed there. We've got there. It's all really positive, and let's stop supporting these big teams that are going for money. Let's go and support our local sides, and just enjoying it, and just having that friendly feel atmosphere. I promise you, it is a great place to be, and let's build something. Let's help the club by supporting them as much as they have supported the community as well.
Yeah, that's spot on, really, and I'm sure the Pirelli will be absolutely bouncing for that first home game back whenever it may come, and hopefully we'll get the 3 points then. But obviously, until then, we've still got to kind of wrap this season up. We've got Wigan away and Fleetwood at home. What are your score predictions for those two games, Anton?
2-1 against Wigan, and I'll go 1-0 against Fleetwood.
Two very Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank scorelines there. I'll go with a 2-0 against Wigan and a 1-1 draw against Fleetwood. But our predictions would say that we've kind of confirmed it. Hopefully we go into the weekend, we take the game to Wigan, we're positive, and get that result that would be incredible for where we've been in the last 9 months, however many months it is, and get it all wrapped up 3 games early, or 2 games early. It'll be really impressive from us.
Definitely. I'll pose a question for you for a change. Obviously, we're ticking towards the end of the season, and there's been a lot of squad changes. But who's been your player of the season? I think there's been a lot of good stories, but who's the one that stands out for you?
I think it's a very difficult question, because obviously we've got the spine of the team that stayed here, and obviously you've got players who have who have come in and made a big impact as well. I think Ryan Edwards' name surely certainly has to be up there, because I think he did it under Jake and he's done it even better under Jimmy and Dino, and he's been really important to how we've played. I think you mentioned Michael Boswick a few weeks ago about how important he'd been to us, and he certainly has picked up and has also obviously played the full season here and picked up massively. Yeah, it's a difficult question. I think I'd pip it to Ryan Edwards just because of, it's kind of been quite important to both of these kind of Burton teams that we've seen this season. Yourself, who's yours?
Yeah, I think you've rounded it up quite well. The one I think I'm going to throw into the mix, and I know he's only been for half of the season, but for me, Hayden Carter, for obviously his goals as well as his defensive displays. He's earned his points, he's saved his points, he's looked so calm, mature for his age. I think we're in a massively worse place without him. What did you say? Boswick has got better and better since he's come back and has become fit again. Ryan Edwards has given everything as he always does. And obviously he's flourishing a bit more under Jimmy in the role he's been given. Similar to that Naylor Weir role, and Claire have kind of recreated that a little bit. But no, I think for me, Hayden Carter pips it for me. So we're not far off, but Carter, Edwards, and Boswick for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. And it's also, Hayden Carter has been here for 6 months, and there's two of us debating for him to be player of the season. It's a huge credit to him. Hopefully we'll see him back here in the future. Like I said, until then, we've got these two games coming up. Hopefully, two good performances. Give a good account of ourselves, especially at Wigan, and then we'll push on to the end of the season, and from there, we've got the summer, and hopefully a huge kind of a huge occasion when we get fans back into the stadium.
Definitely, popped up on memories in the last obviously week or so of that day at Morecambe when we got promotion from League Two. Obviously before then clinching it at Cambridge. It'd just be nice to get back into a ground for and foremost, but we'd love to recreate some of those days again. I know I'm being greedy, but I don't get this figure by not being greedy either. So just be nice to have a bit more glory days back to the Brewers in the short term.
And hopefully this incredible 5-6 months will continue over till the next season. Anton, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
No problem. Finally pinned me down, mate.
It's been a pleasure, and hopefully I'll catch up with you next week for two positive results and hopefully safety, and hopefully we can kind of discuss a little bit more about what the future may hold for us.
Definitely. Stay safe all, and hopefully we're going on to next week with two positive results.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Anton. Stay safe.
See ya.
Cheers. See ya.